Donald Trump is losing his mind. Whatever is left of his pudding brain is now fully devoted to bizarre late-night rants on Truth Social. The latest one? Just as unhinged as the rest. Trump spends his nights either glued to the TV or obsessing over how to redesign the White House in the ugliest ways imaginable. But above all, he's furious. And today, we saw that fury spill over as he went after a Fox News host of all people, for one of the strangest reasons yet. We're going to get into all of that, but before we do, if you could, make sure to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us keep doing this work. Now, before we break down which Fox host Trump is so angry with, let's start with a moment that says it all. A Republican voter confronting her own congressman at a town hall with a question he simply...
Go ahead.
Well, no, I had a couple of related questions. One is, I've heard President Trump say more than once that he has lowered drug prices by 1,500%. I'm not sure how that works. And the other is, can you tell me what specific bills we've passed or worked on that would lower grocery prices?
Yeah. Well, Mel, you're talking about things relative to state level. And so you're mixing federal and state in terms of if you look at what the 18 enumerated powers say, the 18 enumerated powers that every member of Congress holds up their hand and swears an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution. And most people who run for Congress don't know those 18 enumerated powers. And they don't know the 10th Amendment that says the power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states or reserved to the states or the people respectively. And so what I'm saying to you is Oklahoma, if you want to have that conversation about grocery taxes, they've been having that conversation.
They have it with the president.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, but relative to constitutional authority and the way that I have my staff analyze things, what we're allowed to do, okay, what we're allowed to do is it has to be under the framework. We are given tax status, but tell me the federal tax right now on groceries. So what I'm saying is state. You're talking about state. Who's next?
This is exactly what happens when people finally break out of the Fox News propaganda bubble. When you stop letting them dictate every thought, every feeling, every reaction, and you start questioning the ridiculous nonsense that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth, you realize pretty quickly the whole argument falls apart. Trump lies about everything. He'll claim drug prices are down 100,000%, which obviously makes no sense. But the moment you even scratch the surface, you see just how absurd it all really is. And that's the point. Fox has to exist because without their spin, Trump's delusions collapse under their own weight. That's why it was so surprising to see Trump raging at them, especially after the performance Stephen Miller put on the other night. And it's important to look at that before we get into why Trump was so angry in the first place.
These organized street gangs that are terrorizing these cities, that are dealing these drugs, that are trafficking weapons, that are engaging in organized theft, armed robbery, carjacking, all of them are doing business with, at some level or another, the transnational narco-trafficking organizations. So these street crews are engaged in material support for terrorism, which is the core function of the federal government to defend and protect. Well, President Trump has literally set the people of Washington, D.C. free. They're so happy now that they can just go out and live their lives, go to their favorite restaurant, go to their favorite bar, go to their favorite pool hall, go to their favorite park. You see moms taking kids out to parks they haven't been to in years because they know the police are there. They know that President Trump is there with his law enforcement to protect them. It's a thing of beauty, Sean. But I would say to the mayor of all these Democrat cities, like Chicago, what you are doing to your own citizens is evil. Subjecting your own citizens to this constant bloodbath and then rejoicing in it is evil. And you should praise God every single day that President Trump is in the White House.
If he's going to encourage people to take to the streets over this, I will say anything that happens, he will be responsible for. I did not like his comments. Stephen.
We have hit a new level of lying from this administration with what is happening right now in D.C. They have as they always do, manufactured a crisis, pretending that crime is exploding, but the only real chaos that's being caused is through the intimidation of them being in Washington. Donald Trump doesn't care about solving a problem. Donald Trump just wants to claim he solved a problem, and that's why he is so furious that Fox, I guess, has not fallen in line enough to praise him for doing nothing, which is why he melted down over Karl Rove. Watch Fox News segment led to Trump's meltdown over Rhino Karl Rove. GOP operative Karl Rove made an appearance on Fox and Friends Wednesday morning that caused Donald Trump to lash out at the conservative pundit on Truth Social. Rove's comments on Fox were mostly about the Democratic Party, which he made fun of for its tension-filled summer meeting, and he put its struggle to talk like normal people. The DNC consists of party activists elected at state levels and in caucuses and so forth, and so by their very nature, they represent the activist heart of the Democratic Party. And look, they're nutty. Let's not kid ourselves, said Rove. Asked for his warning for Republicans at this moment. Rove said the following: recognize that the coalitions tend to come and go, and that the Republicans need to be aimed not at the hardcore base of the party, but at broadening that the Republican realm, if you will, by getting independents and ticket splitters and people who might be, somewhat suspect of the Republicans but need to be wooed in order to win elections. Trump was seemingly offended by Rove's comments. Rhino Karl Rove, when asked on Fox and Friends this morning how to explain the tremendous success of the Republican Party with millions of people joining it and the Dems losing millions, was unable to give an answer. He just couldn't utter the words President Donald J. Trump wrote the president on Truth Social before adding, "But that's okay. The people get it and always have." Rove was not asked to explain the tremendous success of the Republican Party during the segment. So not only is Donald Trump lashing out at a Republican on Fox News, he's doing it over a false memory. He's furious at Karl Rove for not responding to a question that was never even asked. That's the level of cognitive decline we're dealing with here. Trump has become the classic old man yelling at clouds, except in this case, the clouds are Fox News hosts. He doesn't understand what he sees. He doesn't understand what he hears. What he does know is how to obsess over redecorating the White House in the ugliest possible way, because that's really all he cares about. Meanwhile, voters are asking the real questions. Where's the affordability you promised, Donald? And as Amy Klobuchar explained, those answers aren't coming.
It does. And Donald Trump doesn't have a right to fire a governor on the Federal Reserve. As you just pointed out, no president has ever done this. This is an independent agency acknowledged as such, quasi-private, by the U.S. Supreme Court, not 100 years ago, but just this May. And I am glad, given what Donald Trump's doing, I am glad that Governor Cook is standing up, because you've got a situation here where he's trying to put his thumb on everyone he can find, on the judges, on the Republicans in Congress who seem to be acquiescing every single day to what he wants, on the Federal Reserve, and this is a time to stand up. You think about what the Federal Reserve does here. It looks at this creeping inflation problem that Donald Trump owns, and then you look at the role, the important role they play in standing up for Americans in this economy. But the second piece of this is what you got up way beyond the legal part, is why does he do this? He wants to distract people from what he should own, and that is this economy. Because of the Trump tariff taxes, $2,400 on every single family in America, on what's been happening to farmers in my state with their markets drying up, with the ag economy. You pointed out the John Deere firings and the John Deere terminations, I should say, that are related actually to, they said themselves, to what's happening with the farm economy.
Yep.
He doesn't want to own it. He blames a statistician. Remember that? Just in the last month? I thought that was ironic, this well-trusted statistician, and he gets bad job numbers, and then he fires someone, making the job numbers worse.
Yeah, I mean, for the head of the BLS is somebody nobody knew. Lisa Cook is somebody whose name you didn't know. These are these people. He wants to call them the deep state.
Right.
These are these people who just do their work largely behind closed doors.
Right. And so owning this is what he needs to do. Changing his policies is what he needs to do. And we're just seeing the beginnings of this with the effects of these tariffs. And you're just seeing, so far, I think there was just a recent study showing something like 20% of it has been absorbed by consumers, and we're going to see 60% more in the next few months. And by the way, in the biggest cabinet meeting of all, the Minnesota State Fair, where I've been hanging out,
Donald Trump's administration is collapsing. It's not strong. It's not stable. It's being held together by the weakest possible threads. And the second you poke holes in the obvious lies they tell, the whole thing starts to unravel. That's why they rely so heavily on distraction, chaos, and culture war nonsense. Because if people actually stop and look at the facts, the argument for Democrats becomes crystal clear. We're going to keep making that case on this show every single day, because the truth is simple. Donald Trump is not helping you. He's costing you. And when you see through the smokescreen, the choice in front of us becomes obvious. If you want to support that mission, as always, hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I will see you soon.